Mark your calendars. A little over a month until Election Day in California. The race for LA County Sheriff continues to be one of the tightest and also most contentious.
When the Board of Supervisors recruits 8 candidates to run against me, they did it for one reason only, because they want a puppet.
When you're working with people, that doesn't mean you're a puppet. That means you're working with people to collaborate.
About 10 days ago, incumbent Sheriff Alex Villanueva and his challenger Robert Luna squared off in a sometimes heated debate you saw right here on Fox 11.
In the June primary, Sheriff Villanueva wound up with the highest percentage of votes, about 31%. Retired Long Beach Police Chief Luna was second with about 26%. But the huge number of people voting for another candidate, about 43%, has left this race wide open.
Joining us now in studio is the LA County Sheriff, Alex Villanueva. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you both.
Before we get too much into the race, let's talk about the big story of the day, which is obviously the destruction we're seeing from Hurricane Ian. We know in the past, LA County Sheriff's Department has been very helpful in sending deputies to areas like this. Are there plans to do that? What are we looking at?
Well, we have a lot of resources at our disposal. Our emergency services detail, our paramedics, the air rescue. We do that. We did that in Katrina, and we're ready and standby if we get the call from FEMA, then, that coordinates with all of the states and all the resources to help our folks in Florida.
Okay. Let's hope it doesn't get to that point, because that means then the destruction's really that bad, which we know it is. Let's look back 9 days to our debate. Have you watched it back? How do you think that you did? Any moments you regret?
Actually not. I had a lot of fun, and I don't know if my opponent did, but it was a good opportunity for people to see someone who actually knows what the job is and has a plan moving forward, and an empty candidate who has absolutely no plan to do anything other than say that he's going to collaborate and sing Kumbaya.
Well, and speaking of that collaboration, more signs of that today. He got endorsed by former L.A. Mayor Richard Riordan, a Republican. He's been endorsed by the entire Board of Supervisors, much of the City Council, the Democratic Party. Does any of that matter? Should people be concerned about that?
That doesn't help a single person get out of being homeless and into shelter. It doesn't help a single person who's living in fear because of violent crime plaguing their neighborhoods. What that's going to take is going to take a fully funded Sheriff's Department, fully staffed, so all of the budget that was taken out of the department, all those positions that were eliminated, they need to be restored. I'm going to replenish the entire ranks of the department, get it back to full strength, and we're going to work hard on those two things, homelessness and violent crime.
But if they don't like you and fighting with you, why are they going to do what you want when it comes to funding? Talking about the Board of Supervisors who control the budget.
Well, there needs to be an adult in the conversation. If we have supervisors who are petty, they're actually going to punish their own constituents because they don't like the sheriff, well, then I think they have other issues that are far greater than the relationship with me. My job is to work and help the community. I will work with the board, not for the board like my opponent, and definitely we need to come together to advance the interests of the public, so they need to leave the petty politics aside.
Well, let's say you do get reelected. What do the next 4 years look like in terms of where your focus will be when it comes to combating the homeless crisis? And even if you don't get the funding from the board and have to do that with your hands tied, so to speak?
Well, our homeless outreach service team, hands down, has the proper solution. What we need to do is scale up a program that is 100% successful at getting people off the street into shelter, reclaiming public space for the community, and it works everywhere. Not a single arrest, not a single use of force. You would think that a politician, especially the ones that got their finger in the wind, say, hey, that works, people like it, let's do it. This is a strange crowd that wants to, they're married to this homeless industrial complex and having money flowing into the hands of the nonprofits, but somehow it doesn't get to the people who need it the most. We're going to work on building up capacity, and I'm going to hold accountable the next mayor, the Board of Supervisors. Where are the plans to build up that capacity? And that's where our focus is going to be.
So we've seen you focus on Venice and also San Vicente near the VA. We've seen you focus on Olvera Street in terms of areas for homeless. There's homeless all over the place. What's the next area of focus for you? What community are you going into next?
Well, when I target those areas, I'm focusing on what drives the economic engine for Southern California, tourism. We cannot abandon our tourist destination. That's suicide. This $18 billion, part of almost a third of our entire gross domestic product in LA County, is our tourist destinations. They have to be defended. If the next mayor and the Board of Supervisors doesn't understand that, well, they're really out of touch with what the county needs. So I'm going to focus on those. Our next step is going to be Hollywood and all of our transit systems. Our Operation Safe Travel over the summer dropped violent crime on our trains 85%. It works. Law enforcement works. We have to be in partnership with all the other non-law enforcement entities.
You know, there's labels. You've been labeled really as the disruptor here, Luna more of the unifier. Does that bother you, or is that what you are looking for? And do you see any benefit to being more of the unifier and reaching across the aisle?
Well, actually, I'm a unifier because I'm bringing Democrats and Republicans together, and they're all speaking to each other. That happened in Venice. People that didn't even know that they were opposing parties all of a sudden decided the man defecating on my front lawn is my concern. And that transcends party ideology. And that is what we have to bring to the table. So my opponent can be the great unifier of the political establishment, whoopee-doo. They've been failing at the two crises that we're facing, homelessness and violent crime. Why are we unifying something that does not work? I will disrupt what does not work. And in that scrum, we're going to finally realize what does work, and let's focus on that.
And speaking of the LA mayor's race, you say you're going to work with the next mayor. Do you have a favorite in that, and have you talked to either one of them?
Well, I've seen both of them. I've seen them do their tap dance. One is favor my opponent. The other one doesn't know where they're going. From both candidates, I don't see a solid plan that addresses the fundamentals of the homeless crisis. I see a lot of lip service and, oh, I'm going to do 10,000 units. I'm going to do this, that. But the fundamental equation is a dynamic one. People from all over the nation descending on California get their free stuff, their cheap dope, and no consequences. And until we change that dynamic, it's going to continue to grow out of control.
Didn't sound like an endorsement for either one.
Yeah,
I'm hoping someone changes their mind and realize, hey, let's sit down with the sheriff and let's figure things out. And I think that'll work very good.
Did it bother you that you both prefer Big Bang Theory?
Well, actually, that was kind of interesting that he went there. But my concern is I went Dodgers all the way, yet his whole office is full of Steelers stuff.
Oh, okay.
So that doesn't sound like a Dodger fan to me.
Yeah, and that was when we asked what's your favorite TV show. Both you and Robert Luna said Big Bang Theory. Who would have thought that Sheldon would bring you guys together?
The unifier in Sheldon.
Zinga.
There you go.
All right, thank you so much, Sheriff Alex Villanueva. Great to see you.
Good to see you.
We've invited Robert Luna. We hope that he will join us soon for a similar interview with Equal Time.